Some athletes really pushed the rules to achieve greatness, while others simply broke them. From Lance Armstrong to Bo Jackson, here are some famous athletes who've broken or bent the rules. Starting with a little performance enhancement problem in Lance Armstrong. He might be a former pro cyclist now, but there was a time when he was the best at his sport for a long time. Between 1999 and 2005, he won the Tour de France 7 times in a row, but accusations of doping had been going around about him for years, and they overshadowed his success. You see, Armstrong was accused of using drugs to improve his performance during his whole career. In 2012, he lost all of his titles and was banned from cycling for life. He first denied the accusations, but in an interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2013, he finally admitted he'd used drugs, which came as a real shock to many. Now, speaking of drug use, here's another athlete with the same problem. Marion Jones. She used to be an American track and field athlete and won 5 medals at the Sydney Olympics in 2000, including 3 golds. Marion was one of the best athletes of her time, but in 2007, everything fell apart for her. Jones was found guilty of lying to federal investigators about using drugs to help her play better, and she was given a 6-month prison sentence. Later, she admitted that she used steroids before the Sydney Olympics, which meant she had to give up all her medals. Although, these two weren't the only ones either. This Olympic star relied on steroids too. Ben Johnson, after he won the 100-meter race at the Olympics in Seoul in 1988, everyone knew his name. His win was a big surprise, making him a Canadian hero. But his victory didn't last long, because 3 days later, he lost his gold medal because he'd used anabolic steroids. Johnson's case is one of the most well-known examples of doping in sports. It led to a big crackdown on using drugs to improve performance. Steroids are one thing, cocaine is another, but this athlete's done both. Diego Maradona was an Argentine football player who's considered by many to be one of the best players of all time. He won the World Cup of Argentina in 1986 and played for some of the best teams in the world for a long time. But Maradona was also known for getting into trouble outside of the field. After testing positive for cocaine in 1991, he was suspended for 15 months. As if that wasn't bad enough already, Maradona also said he used drugs to help him play better during his career. And while that's still got some scary implications on his health, you know what else is scary? When athletes attack each other to get ahead, just like this skater did. Tonya Harding. She's currently a retired figure skater, but Tonya's best known for her role in the attack on fellow skater Nancy Kerrigan in 1994. Kerrigan had to drop out of the US Figure Skating Championships because Harding's ex-husband and bodyguard hired a man to hit her in the knee with a club. Later, Harding pleaded guilty to making it harder for the attackers to be caught. She was banned from competitive skating for life. Her role in the attack hurt her reputation and turned her into a controversial figure in the sports world. But it looks like athletes can't even be caught partying though if they're famous. That's what went down with this world-famous Olympic swimmer, Michael Phelps. Although he's retired now, he was considered one of the best Olympians of all time. In his career, he won a total of 28 medals, including 23 gold medals. That's more than any other Olympic athlete. But in 2009, a picture of Phelps smoking from a bong at a party came out. The photo caused a big and Phelps was banned from competing for 3 months. Several of his endorsement deals also fell through. Phelps later said he was sorry for what he did and that he'd learned from it. Phelps's crime might be forgivable, but I don't think this soccer player's is. Hope Solo is an American soccer goalie who played for the US national team and is now retired. She won 2 gold medals at the Olympics and 1 at the World Cup, but she was also known for getting into trouble off the field. Solo was a arrested in 2014 for hitting her half-sister and her nephew. Because of this, she was kicked off the national team. During the 2016 Olympics, she also got into a fight with the team's coach, leading to her suspension and leaving the team. You thought you'd had enough of athletes who broke the rules for using steroids? Nope, I'm just getting started. This American baseball player had the same problem as some of the athletes I talked about earlier. Alex Rodriguez is a retired American baseball player who went by the nickname A-Rod. He played for the Seattle Mariners, the Texas Rangers, and the New York Yankees. He was one of the best and highest paid athletes, but his career was full of trouble. Rodriguez was banned for the whole 2014 season for using drugs to help him play better. At first, he denied the claims, but later admitted that he had used steroids during his career. Rodriguez also had to deal with other problems, like being accused of cheating on his wife, so I guess chaos isn't that foreign to him. Speaking of foreign, there are also athletes who bent the rules by doing some pretty unconventional tricks on the field. Michael Johnson. At the Sydney Olympics in 2000, it was easy to find Michael Johnson. He was the guy with the shiny gold shoes who broke the 200-meter and 400-meter Olympic records while running awkwardly. Johnson's unusual way of running was just as surprising as how fast he ran. His arched back, short strides, and low knee lift broke traditional sprinting rules, but since his 400-meter world record from 1999 still stands, he has every right to not care about the rules, just like this next player, whose rule-breaking skills are off the charts. Tony Hawk. Like many first movers, he had to break the rules to reach heights never reached before. Tony was one of the first skaters to ollie into his airs when doing tricks in the halfpipe or bowl. This let him fly higher than other skaters. Some of the old school riders complained that Tony's ollies were cheating because he was getting air before they got to the lip. Obviously, he was just that good. While that was going on, the Birdman was landing the first 360, 720, kickflip McTwist, 900, and more on the halfpipe. Now that's a good skater boy. And if you thought rule breaking in skateboarding was surprising, imagine rule breaking in the paddling world, which is something that this next player has experience in. When Jeff Clark was 17, Jeff paddled out a quarter mile from Half Moon Bay to ride a big wave called Mavericks. This would become famous in Northern California. Clark broke all the rules of common sense by paddling out alone. Since Mavericks was such a big wave, no one else who knew about it had the guts to take on the 15 to 20 foot break. That's why Clark got to surf it alone for the next 15 years. Looks like breaking the rules does pay off sometimes. Other rules are straight up hilarious. I didn't even know being good at more than one sport was a rule bender. Bo Jackson is one of these amazing people who are always first in line regarding getting sports talent. Most athletes follow the rule that they should try to be great at just one sport and put all of their efforts into doing well at that sport. But Bo wasn't happy with that. He was the first player to be an all-star in the NFL and MLB. ESPN chose him as the best athlete of all time in 2014. That's all the famous athletes who've bent or broken the rules. See you in the next one.